Hey Sarnia, I'm Katie Horvath. This show is called Into the City. I'm here today with John Parker. John is looking for your votes. He's running in the upcoming municipal election as a city and county councillor candidate. John, thank you so much for coming today to talk to me.
You're welcome.
First question I have for you, John, just in general, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was born and raised in Sarnia. I left when I was about 18 and basically went to Toronto, went to Ryerson, went through what we call COTC, which is Canadian Officer Training Corps, and spent a couple of years in the Army. But I got bored and we weren't going anywhere because I was in the Royal Canadian Army Service Corps, and they look after guys that are on the front line, and there was nobody there. There was no war. So basically I came back and worked for a Glidden Paint Company, and I got a lot interested in the paint business. Ended up buying a few stores in Toronto, and then we looked around and said, well, why wouldn't we have a paint factory? So we bought paint equipment, and we just went from there for the next 25 or 30 years. And we accomplished a lot. We made ordinary paint for the hardware stores and the paint stores and lumber yards. But more so in the last 15 to 20 years, we started making pellet paint. This is paint for pallets and skids. And that's sold all over the United States and Canada. And then we started also making mulch color. This is for the colored little chips that go around the trees. But then after I got to be about 70, I said to myself, it's about time to sell out, and I had a customer. So that was that. Came to Sarnia to look around and see what I should do, and my mother had left me a house, and I said, you know, I think I might like to live here again. And that's basically what it was.
All right. So why did you decide to run for a city and county councillor position this year?
Well, actually it all started off with getting to know a few people, and they said to me, you should run for council. I said, why would I want to do that? And they said, we've got problems here. He said, we need somebody with a bit of a voice. I says, why me? They said, because you look like you could do it. And I says, well, we'll give it a go. And one day I met Brian White in the lobby, and he says, yeah, you should run. Here's how you do it. And so I signed up my name, gave him $100, and said, let's go.
All right. So at this point in the interview, I'd like to get some of your reflections on the current council. So are you able to comment in general on some things that you've witnessed in the last 4 years, things they did well, things that you maybe would have handled differently if you were in that position?
Well, to tell the truth, I never really bothered about what they were doing. I heard what goes on, like I hear what goes on in Toronto. I'm very, slightly interested. But then when I started talking to these people, there were things like overruns of money. It was all about money. There was projects that were perhaps ill-conceived. Now, in my opinion, government needs money. They need money to look after the essentials of the public. But sometimes they get a little offbeat and money goes aside, and it isn't a good thing. And I thought, well, I think I could use my skills of evaluation and ability to say yes or no, and make make more right of a decisions. Throw in my vote for what I think is right.
Okay. So if you hadn't been, as you said, watching like a hawk over the last 4 years, so and kind of with hearsay what other people have said. So what are some of the things that you heard just from with?
Well, since the last couple of months, I've been looking into and hearing more closely some of the things that are wrong. The first thing I started hearing, we've got a drug problem here. I wasn't aware of it. I started looking into it. Yeah, I guess we have. There's some abandoned buildings out on Christina Street that seem to be up in limbo. I talked to the mayor about that the other day, and they were trying to work on it. And then I heard lots about the Centennial Park, and then the Andy Brandt dock, ramps and that. I went out and looked at them today. They're really looking good, and apparently the people using them, they really like them. But they came at a pretty heavy cost because there was some messing around. So it's It's just not that. I think there's many things in general. Everybody wants the roads fixed up to make them look beautiful, but, you know, sometimes I think if the roads are too good, the guys go too fast. And I've noticed that around Sarnia here. As soon as they get a nice highway, like that Blue Water Highway from Endowment to Kettle Point, they just boot it. And the police are not doing anything about it. So I intend to see the police chief. I've already seen the fire department chief, Kenyon, John Kenyon. Yeah. And he's given me some ideas about those houses. They don't like them there because they are dangerous. But I've got a plan, and we'll see if it works out all right. Yeah. Got to think it out more. Yeah.
Actually, that'll lead me into the next part of the interview, which is specifically about your plan, your platform, some of the issues that you're campaigning on. So if you could tell me in general about your plan.
Well, my first plan is to learn a lot. I told the mayor, I'm a rookie. I don't know very much about this business. I was in business for myself. I made all the decisions and everything went as I said. But now I've got to work with people. So that's one thing I've got to learn, is how to interact with the other people and listen to their ideas and take it into consideration. But I'm still going to be defiant about what I think is right. I think it's the learning process. I said to the mayor, I says, I'm going to have to ask you a lot of questions along the way because you've been here 18 years and you know what you're doing as far as I'm concerned, because all through the years that I own property here, you've been mayor and I've never had any scandals that I've heard about or anything like that. And I heard about something a few years ago, but it seemed to be just a passing thing. But it remains to be seen, mostly. If something comes up, then I've got to go after it. Now, what I'm doing, I'm asking for people to tell me what irritates you. And I want to dig into it and see if there isn't a solution. Because finding solutions is what everybody wants to what they conceive to be a problem.
So how do you feel about the removal of the paper ballot in this election and voting strictly by internet and telephone?
I think they're getting ahead of themselves.
Yeah.
I'm an old guy, and I like to go and put my X on there and walk out, know that I've really voted. I attended a meeting on it with all the council people, and well, I think it's a good idea in some respects. It's certainly good for the older people who can't get out, because I remember having to help a lot of voters in Toronto to the polls and give them a ride, whatever. And this way it's going to make it easier. But it'll remain to be seen whether it works well. There seemed to be, he talked for 3 hours on all the assets of it and the problems with it. And me, I'm going to vote right here. I'm going to walk into the city hall and say, where do I vote? And do it that I know it's done.
Yeah, and they'll be able to help you out there too.
Sure, that's what they said they would do. And I got to advise a lot of my constituents that are going to be prospective constituents how to do it as well.
Okay. So what is it about you, and you can take this personally, you can take this in professionally, what you've done in your career and your business, but what is it about you that makes you think that you would be a good representative for the people of Sarnia?
Well, just my general makeup. I'm not afraid to say what I mean. I'm not a pushover for anything. I've had a lot of experience making decisions where it involved big money. I got along with my staff real well. I got along with my customers real well. Even the government I got along well, and that's not normal. But I think I can handle it. I guess I think I'm a bit of a leader because I led 30 people for 40 years, and they made paint, and they got paid, and I got my stuff sold, and we made money, so.
Successful that way?
Yeah, I think so. But, it just takes a lot of common sense. It's not a big, fantastic thing. I didn't go to medical school. I just, school of hard knocks.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you didn't really see a whole lot of fighting or problems that had happened. There was a particular incident where there was infighting between council and the mayor and senior staff. There was it was a situation, I guess we'll call it. So without getting into too many details, because you've said that you weren't really in the thick of things. So the general question: how do you approach conflict?
I just listen. I try to find out what is making sense in there and take advantage of that, or take note of it perhaps, and try and dismiss that which doesn't make sense or doesn't look like it should work, and come up with a conclusion of my own. Maybe discuss it with a lot of people. That's going to be important. The job doesn't seem to me to be beyond me, and it's all about making decisions and arriving at the right solutions, and doing it in an efficient way where the money is involved, because it is the taxpayer I'm going to be working for. I'm calling out to a lot of these people and saying, what are you unhappy about? And see if I can find a solution.
And have you had much response to that question?
Yeah.
What are some of the things that people have said
Well,
to
the
you?
first thing I think was drugs, and the city council and the ramp dock that they've called Andy Brand now was part of it.
Boat ramps, yeah.
And there was the streets and these abandoned houses.
Okay.
And they weren't too happy either with all this infighting. A lot of them, felt the mayor was treated unfairly. I've had a lot of comment on that. They felt that wasn't a good issue, and it did cost a lot of money. They put up some kind of photo apparatuses in the city hall. They took his key away. They docked him money. I thought, what is all this about? I've never heard of that before. So I took exception to it, and a lot of people feel that it was just a wrong thing that happened. Whether it was rightly solved or not, I don't know.
Okay. So there's 4 positions on council for city and county. So why would you say that people should choose you as opposed to some of the other candidates? What kind of sets you apart?
Maybe they like my looks.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a joke. But if I can get things across to them that of my strengths, they might consider it.
Yeah, okay. So I just wanted to give you the opportunity now, if there's anything that I haven't brought up that you yourself would have liked to talk about, I just want to give you the opportunity for kind of your final message for anybody that may be watching the video.
Well, I guess really the message as a final message is the message I've got on my little card that I'm giving.
Hold that up
And
there.
it says on there, call me. At that number there, 226-402-2695, that's my cell phone, and tell me what's bothering you. And I'll make notes of it and I'll get back to you. And that's a service. And I guess I've been in the service of a lot of people, especially in the business service. You have to look after your customers, you got to look after your suppliers, you got to look after your staff, and basically you're serving them all so that everybody works harmoniously and we get something done that's positive.
Right. Okay. Well, that's great. Thanks again, John, for joining me today. And thank you guys for watching at home. Again, this has been John Parker. He's looking for a seat as a city and county councillor candidate. If you like what John has to say, the polls open online October 11th through to October 22nd, the election day. Thanks for watching.